Hi guys, it's Fiverr, and welcome back to another episode of Sugar Candy Miniatures. This week I want to talk about what generosity does for the hobby and how I completed one of my projects in an unexpected way. Recently, I had one of my childhood best friends, Mary Beth, and her husband Joe come to visit me. It's the first time I'd hosted guests in a really long time, and I was so excited about that. I kept thinking of fun things that we could do and places that I could show them around town. But they were coming to visit over 4th of July weekend, so the day of the 4th of July, I knew that most places I'd want to show them would be closed. So while we went to the drive-in the night before, I had cooked up a plan to paint Warhammer miniatures the day of. When I proposed this plan, I wasn't expecting the amount of enthusiasm I got back in response. I mentioned painting Warhammer miniatures in the car on the way to the drive-in movies, and we talked about Warhammer the entire ride. I hadn't had another person to talk to about Warhammer person to person in a little bit, and it was a lot of fun. Joe had so many questions. It seems like he had played a couple of tabletop games before, and he had a buddy who was really into Total War Warhammer, so he knew a thing or two. But he had never painted a miniature before, and when I asked if that was something he was interested in doing, he was super enthusiastic about it. We actually went down to the local game store to pick out miniatures, and I was surprised to find that while Joe was staring at those Tyranids, very interested in them, he ended up going with Skaven clan rats, which were the faction that his friend who liked Total War Warhammer played. He wanted to paint a miniature not for himself, but for somebody else. Mary Beth ended up choosing an earth elemental. I walked them through the basic steps of base coat, wash and dry brush highlight, and that was, kind of the basics. They were left to their own devices for color choices, and Joe and I went back and forth talking about all the different sorts of colors to paint these Skaven clan rats. We ended up getting a box, so there were quite a few to assemble and paint. Thank goodness Skaven clan rats are only like 2 or 3 pieces, because assembly is not my strong suit, and if it was anything more complicated than that, I don't think I would have been able to teach it quite as well. Joe ended up choosing to paint them mostly pink and purple, which were his friend's favorite colors, and I think they turned out great. Joe was especially excited to add blood effects to their weapons, and Mary Beth painted her earth elemental to look like all different kinds of crystals, which got a lot of use out of the metallic paints that I had lingering around. I realized during this project that I have so much paint. I was kind of expecting that after that we'd just move on to whatever other activity people wanted to do, but Joe kept asking Warhammer questions, so I broke out the Warhammer core rules book and we took a look through it. The core rules for Warhammer 40k. They're at the picture of the Imperial Knights. Joe, how much does an Imperial Knight cost?
Oh gosh.
Also, Mary Beth, how much does an Imperial Knight cost? Just one.
$100.
$100, okay.
So I wanted to say about 50, but I was looking at these, and I was like, these probably cost like $30 a pop, and then they laughed at me. So I'm gonna go with 75.
That is an $120 model.
Oh my gosh.
Shit.
And Warhammer prices like to fluctuate and go up sometimes, so in all likelihood, that's probably going to be like a $135 model before long.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Forces of chaos. So, where are the rules?
They're at the back of the book, about the last 65 pages. Yeah, that's lore. You're in the lore. That's a chaos knight, so they have like the fancy one. I wanted to do one, and obviously I don't have the funds for this right now, but I wanted to do a gingerbread man knight, and then like an overbaked, burnt, half-eaten cookie knight fighting each other. But that's like $240 for just the models, so that's why people buy used models.
Yeah, really.
I would love a knight for $50. You let me know where you find that. And, pick that up.
Whoa. What the?
Is this something you can buy and paint?
Yeah, that is a... I That's either a orc stompa or a morkanaut or gorkanaut. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
For size, those are goblins, right?
Yeah, this is the smaller one. I think this is a morkanaut or gorkanaut. And then that's the stompa, which is huge. That's actually a very large model.
How big is it?
That's a little bit too tall. Probably, yeah, right about there.
Oh
but the
God.
base size is probably like this big. It's a large one. He costs like 650 points on his own. Not $650.
No,
650
no.
points to field. Most people field 2,000 point armies. So if you think about it, that is like over a fourth of your army as just one model. And I think he's only gone up in amount of points. That other orc in the center in like the mech suit, that's a figure in the lore. His name is Gosgul Thraka, and he once got his head shot off or chopped off, and it grew back. So he's pretty cool and pretty badass, and he's like a big orc champion. I happen to hate that model, actually, and will not... Hello, Hector. Hi, buddy.
Cat content.
Cat content. This is all content, by the way. This is probably going in the video.
I do
So
like
how much
they're-
do you know how much that would be?
I do not know how much that one is, but it is, you know what? Go ahead and guess how much that one is.
500.
Oh,
It's not $500.
$175.
That's about what I think it is. I
Let
don't...
us know in the comments down below.
I'll probably just put the price on the screen.
No, let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
I want the comments.
Something
the
white
comments to tell
is
us.
so nice.
I hate the white color scheme for the Tau. I think it looks terrible, but I'm glad you like it. I have this boy.
I know, I saw it
He's
in
the
your
big chunky
closet.
boy. Him on his own. How much do you think this one costs?
100.
100. How much is this
I was
one?
gonna guess 100, so I'm gonna go 125.
125. I think he's around $125. I don't know offhand because, like I said, I bought all of my Tau used in a big lot, but he is he's not a cheap boy. He's a big chunk.
I feel like yellow and black would be a lot of fun too.
Mm.
When I was younger, I played a game called Mech Assault on the original Xbox, and this one gives me those vibes.
See, that's what you should actually ask people to comment down below about, because there will be one guy who's like, "Fuck yeah, Mech Assault." I don't know who you are,
Comment down
but
below your favorite.
I don't know anything about Mech Assault. Joe will stalk the comments and be like, "Yeah."
What's your favorite mech?
Comment your favorite mech down below.
Thanks, guys. This is
Atlas freaking slaps, just saying.
Okay.
Oh,
Those are your
these
nids.
are the ones that I was gonna get.
These
yeah,
are
yeah.
the nids. Yeah, they're gross and
They
scary.
kind of remind me of the Xenomorphs.
Yeah, the inspiration was very clear. There was a lot of like borrowing in the early days. I think they're similar but legally distinct from the Lollipop Guild enough to be, you know.
Instead of making the tail weapons, they just made the arms blades.
I really do like the red and black color scheme that you
is
see over
yeah.
there.
Against the Space Marines, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like humans like just boring compared to what else you have out there. you know?
Yeah, sorry to everybody who plays Imperial Guard. This is where the rules start. So this is the start of the rules, and the whole rest of the book is either rules or mission packs.
Oh my god.
How to play.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a key for the rules. There's rules for the rules.
There are rules for the rules. Yes, that is correct.
Explanations for the explanations.
Joe apparently loves complicated games, so I don't know if Warhammer is ever in the cards. It's prohibitive in the fact that it is very expensive and also very complicated. But, yeah, it's got plenty of rules.
I definitely wouldn't shy away from a rules-heavy game. I like it a lot.
Well, hey, you know, eventually, 9th edition Warhammer, which is the book you're holding in your hands, will be irrelevant, and then I can send you all of my 9th edition stuff, and you can learn a completely outdated system. Which would be great.
How much do the systems change game to game?
Almost nothing, but just enough that they can justify selling a new rulebook.
Sounds like an academic textbook.
Yeah. It is very downloadable content. Objectives and things that you can run, different scenarios. I will say about their cool rules, I do
The French
love,
flag.
It is the French flag, however.
it's also the deployment zone, so, there's different ways that you, like, different formations that you can deploy in. They did some freehand.
This trade looks like a Blue Eyes White Dragon or something from Yu-Gi-Oh!
Wow.
And then the black and the yellow give me Egyptian vibes.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to have some kind of Egyptian influence. For the longest time, I said that Thousand Suns were my favorite Space Marine armies, before being informed that they aren't technically Space Marines because they're like reincarnated dust in Space Marine armor. But just because of their headdress thingies, I could identify them confidently. Now Alpha Legion is my favorite because they have fish scales on their armor, and I can identify them confidently, and they're actually Space Marines, not Space Marines. That's a little bit of a look into Warhammer and 17 minutes of content that I can cut. After we were done looking through the core rules, I figured that would be the end of it, but I wasn't just being humored. Joe legitimately was having fun painting Warhammer miniatures, and when he was done, he asked if there was any projects that I needed help with. I'd been putting off painting these Relic Blade miniatures because I couldn't choose a color scheme, but I really did need to get them painted because I had challenged Brent from Goobertown Hobbies to a game of Relic Blade, and the date for Gen Con was fast approaching, so I figured, yeah, why not? Might as well be now. I went with one of the ideas that had been floating around at the top of my head, to paint them like Swedish fish candy, and Mary Beth, being the saint that she is, had packed Swedish fish for their road trip snacks, so I was able to color match directly with a box of Swedish fish and have a little bit of something to munch on during the painting process. Painting snacks are an essential part of the hobby, and anybody who tells you that that is wrong is lying. We just got started base coating with red, blocking out the armor in yellow, and doing some lining and detailing in blue. Pretty basic primary color scheme, but it matches the box perfectly. Joe wasn't super confident about doing the detailed parts, and that makes sense because brush control is kind of something that you build up over time. They had to leave the next day, so we weren't quite able to finish, but this is how things looked after they were gone. And before we move on to how I finished these miniatures up, I just want to give a shout out to our two top tier patrons, Annie Green Gable and Paul No. Thank you so much for your support, guys. You're the best. If you'd like to join them, please feel free to go to patreon.com/sugarcandyminiatures. So as I was finishing these miniatures up, doing a simple wash and then some highlighting to bring out the details, I kept thinking back to my friend's enthusiasm, his generosity. I think that's the kind of stuff we need more of in the hobby. Warhammer is getting more expensive to play. It's hard to figure out the rules and get into for the first time. Stuff is changed out courtesy to courtesy, edition to edition. And it's similar for whatever miniatures game you want to get into. Paint and primer and space and models all have a cost into them, whether it's time, ability, or just money. I think that it's sad that that's the case. Miniature painting has been a hobby that's helped me through a lot of stressful times, and I want it to be accessible to everybody. One of the ways that we can make sure that Warhammer really is for everyone is by sharing what we have too much of. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's sat staring at their pile of miniatures wondering when they're ever going to get painted. But I don't think there's anything wrong with sharing a couple of those minis either, or a couple of the paints that you have. I'm not saying that anyone has to give away their whole collection, but when Joe asked me if there was any projects he could help me out with, I was initially a little bit hesitant. I wasn't sure if his painting was going to be up to my personal standards. But the enthusiasm he had made me want to not say no to his offer of help. If someone's asking to help paint your miniatures, or even just shows an interest, I'd say swallow down whatever reservations you have, because I had the best time, and my Relic Blade crew is super special and a great reminder of how we can make any hobby for every group if we just share what we have already. I hope that this video will inspire a few people to try sharing miniature painting with their friends. It's a little cheesy, I guess, to say that sharing is caring, and that's how we make stuff better and all that, but it's also true. I won't be forgetting this visit anytime soon, and I hope that someday I might even get to play against Joe's future Tyrannid army. If you like this video, please give it a like, a comment, a subscribe. We're getting really close to 1,000 subscribers, and I had a poll the other day. People want me to create a Space Marine chapter when I hit 1K, so I'm gonna have to do that. You can help us get there by hitting that little subscribe button. We also have a Discord community. It's free. I think a couple people thought it was like a patron only thing, but it's not. You can just join. So there will be a link to that in the comments. Thank you everybody, and I'll see you in the next video.